History has a way of surprising us, doesn't it? Just when you think everything follows a logical pattern, a twist comes along that makes you wonder if the universe itself is in on some secret joke. Picture this: events separated by centuries, people who could never have crossed paths, or even stories crafted from imagination somehow aligning perfectly with real-life moments. These are the coincidences that force us to question whether sheer randomness is truly at play, or if something more mysterious lurks beneath the surface. Today, we're uncovering 10 of the most bizarre historical coincidences you've ever heard of, connections so strange, so uncanny, they might just make you rethink what you know about history. From eerie literary predictions to cosmic alignments and peculiar twists of fate, these stories promise to surprise, intrigue, and keep you guessing until the very last one. So, buckle up and get ready to explore the shadowy line where chance meets destiny. Now turning to our first extraordinary tale, let's talk about the Titanic and a novella called Futility, written by Morgan Robertson a full 14 years before the infamous disaster. Robertson's fictional story describes an enormous, luxurious ocean liner named the Titan. Yes, you heard that right, Titan. Almost unsettlingly, much like the real-life Titanic, Robertson's ship was deemed unsinkable and was carrying many wealthy passengers across the Atlantic. But here's where it gets even stranger. Just like the Titanic, the Titan was described as being one of the largest vessels of its time, almost identical in size and capacity. And in a chilling twist, the Titan in the novella meets its tragic fate after striking an iceberg in the North Atlantic. Sound familiar? Some details are uncanny. Both disasters happened in April, and both ships lacked enough lifeboats for all passengers. Of course, Robertson likely wasn't a prophet, but it's hard to ignore the eerie similarities between his fictional calamity and the real disaster that shocked the world 14 years later. Was this a strange case of foresight, a warning ignored, or just a coincidence so bizarre it defies logic? As we dive deeper, this is only the beginning of some of history's most jaw-dropping coincidences. Moving forward, the eerie parallels between the Titanic and Robertson's Futility have fascinated and perplexed people for over a century. These similarities didn't just linger as an odd trivia fact, but sparked a wave of cultural discussions and countless conspiracy theories. Some people speculated that Robertson might have had a mysterious vision of the disaster, perhaps even some kind of supernatural insight. Others believed the novella served as an unheeded warning, as if fate had already laid out its tragic blueprint, only to have it ignored by those in power. Over time, these uncanny details contributed to the Titanic's mystique, elevating it from a historical event to a near-legendary tragedy full of unanswered questions. Was Robertson simply a master of coincidence, or did his imagination tap into something beyond explanation? This story has been a goldmine for storytellers, sparking books, documentaries, and debates that continue to this day. The idea of life imitating art in such a chilling way has kept the tale of the Titanic alive in public consciousness, not just as a factual disaster, but as a profound mystery. And while the debate rages on about whether this was pure coincidence or something more, one thing is certain: the connection only deepens the sense of wonder and tragedy surrounding the Titanic's legacy. But Robertson's tale is just one of many strange coincidences history has to offer. Let's now step into the remarkable parallels between two of America's most iconic leaders, Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. Now turning to the fascinating parallels between Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, the eerie connections between these two legendary American presidents have puzzled historians and captured imaginations for decades. Both men were tragically assassinated while in office, Lincoln on a Friday in April of 1865 and Kennedy on a Friday in November of 1963. Each was succeeded by a man named Andrew Johnson for Lincoln and Lyndon Johnson for Kennedy. both of whom were Southern-born and involved in shaping crucial periods of American history. Remarkably, both presidents were deeply committed to advancing civil rights during their presidencies, facing intense resistance as they worked toward a more just and united nation. But perhaps the most chilling coincidences lie in the details surrounding their assassins. John Wilkes Booth, who murdered Lincoln, and Lee Harvey Oswald, who killed Kennedy, share striking similarities in their stories. Both assassins were known by their triple names, each consisting of 15 letters. Booth shot Lincoln in a theater and fled to a warehouse, while Oswald shot Kennedy from a warehouse and fled to a theater. Additionally, both assassins met sudden and violent ends before they could stand trial, leaving behind questions and theories that have perpetuated the mysteries of their actions. With so many uncanny connections, one cannot help but wonder, are these parallels mere chance, or do they hint at something deeper about the patterns of history? And yet, the coincidences don't stop here. Let's dive even further into the numbers and details that add to the bewildering enigma of these two leaders. Moving forward, let us delve into the curious numerological and structural details that further bind Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy in the fabric of historical coincidence. Start with their names. Both presidents' full names, Abraham Lincoln and John Fitzgerald Kennedy, contain 7 and 13 letters respectively, adding up to 20. Their assassins, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald, both of whom are remembered by their triple names, each have 15 letters. These numerical patterns, while seemingly trivial at first glance, have intrigued those who search for meaning in the connections between these two figures. Then there is the peculiar link involving their secretaries. The story goes that Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy, and Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln, both of whom reportedly warned their presidents against attending the very events where their lives would ultimately be ended. Though some skeptics question the veracity of these tales, the mere existence of these claims has fueled speculation for years. Now consider the striking parallels in the locations tied to their assassinations. Abraham Lincoln met his end while attending a play at Ford's Theater, a venue forever etched into history as the site of his untimely death. John F. Kennedy, on the other hand, was shot while riding in a car manufactured by the Ford Motor Company, specifically a Lincoln limousine. This shared connection to the name Ford has only deepened the intrigue surrounding these presidents. Even the structures tied to their assassins reflect a chilling symmetry. Booth fled from a theater to a warehouse, while Oswald fired from a warehouse and then fled to a theater. Such intricate details have inspired countless theories, debates, and conversations among historians, numerologists, and mystery enthusiasts alike. Are these patterns mere coincidences, or do they point to something larger and more enigmatic about the forces that shape history? While the answers remain elusive, what is undeniable is that these connections have cemented Lincoln and Kennedy as two of the most fascinating figures in the annals of historical mysteries. With their stories fresh in mind, let us now turn to an event that takes the concept of coincidence into the realm of the supernatural. Now turning to one of the most spine-chilling stories entwined with history, we come to the curse of Tamerlane's tomb, a tale that has left many grappling with the idea of whether historical coincidences can cross into the realm of the supernatural. Tamerlane, also known as Timur, was a fearsome conqueror whose empire reached across much of Central Asia in the 14th century. His tomb, located in Samarkand, Uzbekistan, carries an ominous inscription reportedly warning that any disturbance of his remains would bring doom upon the world. Fast forward to June of 1941, when Soviet archaeologists led by Mikhail Gerasimov decided to unearth the remains of this legendary figure, driven by a desire to study his physical characteristics and unravel the mysteries of his life. According to accounts, local elders pleaded with the team to leave Tamerlane's grave undisturbed, invoking the warning that breaking the seal of the tomb could unleash catastrophic consequences. Their warnings, however, went unheeded. On June 20, 1941, the archaeologists opened the tomb, and just 2 days later, on June 22, 1941, Nazi Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion of the Soviet Union during World War II. The sheer timing of these events has fueled speculation that disturbing Tamerlane's tomb somehow triggered a curse, casting a shadow of dread over those who tampered with it. The devastation brought about by the invasion was unparalleled, leading many to wonder if this act of defiance against centuries-old wisdom invited disaster on an unimaginable scale. Intriguingly, the tale takes an even stranger twist. In 1942, as the tides of war began to turn, it is said that the remains of Tamerlane were ceremoniously reburied in strict accordance with Islamic rituals, an act believed to appease the spirit of the great conqueror. Shortly thereafter, the Soviet Union achieved a pivotal victory in the Battle of Stalingrad, marking a significant turning point in the war. Coincidence or curse? The story remains a haunting question for historians, skeptics, and believers alike. What makes such tales so enduring is the interplay between human action, cultural beliefs, and the uncontrollable forces of fate. As we explore whether these events were merely a sequence of unrelated incidents or evidence of hidden powers at play, one thing is certain: stories like this continue to blur the lines between coincidence, superstition, and history itself. And with that, let us journey further into the world of historical mysteries, where curses give way to yet another startling tale of human imagination seemingly predicting the future. Now turning to the broader implications of such ominous tales, the concept of curses has long held a powerful grip on human imagination and culture. Throughout history, curses have served as explanations for misfortunes that defied logic, offering a framework to make sense of the uncontrollable. From ancient tombs to family legacies, the belief in curses often stems from a deep-seated psychological need to assign meaning to random or chaotic events. But can science provide clarity on whether these are genuine supernatural forces or simply coincidences interpreted through a lens of fear and superstition? Modern psychology suggests that human brains are wired to find patterns even when none exist, a phenomenon known as apophenia. In situations of stress or tragedy, this tendency becomes even more pronounced, leading people to connect unrelated events and attribute them to curses. For example, the unsettling timing between the opening of Tamerlane's tomb and the launch of Operation Barbarossa fits seamlessly into this narrative. The stark alignment of dates might just be an extraordinary coincidence, but for those seeking answers during turbulent times, it becomes a compelling story of cause and effect. Moreover, historians argue that such tales often gain momentum because they tap into cultural fears and societal narratives. In the case of Tamerlane, the fear of defying ancient warnings and the chaos of the war combined to solidify the curse's legend. Yet, from a scientific perspective, no concrete evidence has ever linked the act of disturbing a tomb to catastrophic events. Instead, experts point to confirmation bias, where people remember and highlight details that support the idea of a curse while ignoring contradictory evidence. For instance, timing alone might seem striking, but when placed in the broader context of unfolding global events, it becomes far less mysterious. At the same time, it is worth noting how deeply such beliefs are embedded in human history. Across cultures and eras, curses have not only influenced decisions but also shaped the way we view relics and legacies. Whether it is the tomb of an ancient conqueror or the ill-fated voyages of explorers, curses often become the bridge between history and myth, blending fact with fiction in ways that captivate the imagination. The enduring appeal of these stories lies in their ability to merge the tangible with the intangible, the seen with the unseen, offering layers of intrigue that scientific reasoning cannot completely unravel. Ultimately, while the scientific lens might dismiss curses as mere coincidences or human constructs created to process fear and uncertainty, there is no denying the rich tapestry of storytelling they weave into our collective memory. And as we leave the realm of the supernatural, our journey through historical enigmas takes an unexpected turn towards the world of literary foresight, where imagination and reality collide in the most uncanny ways. As the next chapter of our journey unfolds, we step into the uncanny world of literary foresight, focusing on the eerie and baffling case of Edgar Allan Poe's lesser-known novella, The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym. Published in the early 1800s, this gripping tale of high seas adventure and peril takes an unsettling turn with its depiction of a lifeboat stranded in the middle of the ocean. Facing starvation, the desperate survivors draw straws to decide who among them will be sacrificed so that the others may live, the chosen victim's name. Richard Parker, now fast forward several decades to 1884, when a chillingly similar real-life tragedy unfolded. The Mignonette, a yacht sailing from England to Australia, was shipwrecked thousands of miles from shore. Stranded and starving on a lifeboat, the surviving crew, in an act of desperation, turned to the same grim method of drawing lots and ended up killing and consuming one of their own, a 17-year-old cabin boy named, astonishingly, Richard Parker. This bizarre alignment of fiction and reality raises questions that seem almost impossible to answer. Could it be a mere coincidence, or does it suggest something more mysterious at play? Skeptics argue that given enough time and creative works, life is bound to imitate art at some point purely by chance. But here's the twist: Poe's narrative was not a recounting of a common seafaring theme. It was a truly unique story for its time, making the parallels with the Mignonette disaster all the more perplexing. Consider also how the names align so precisely out of countless possibilities. The fictional and real-life victims share the exact same name, down to the last detail. Such uncanny similarities make this story a powerful example of literary coincidence, one that continues to baffle historians and literary enthusiasts alike. Beyond its eerie details, this coincidence sparks an even deeper question: to what extent does art shape our perception of reality? Could it be that the shared cultural context of Poe's dark imagination influenced the actions of the Mignonette's crew? Or does this story reflect the unpredictable intersections of human creativity and real-world events? The truth may forever remain elusive, but the legacy of this strange tale endures, reminding us of the curious ways in which fiction and reality sometimes collide. And speaking of life's strange and unpredictable intersections, our next dive into historical oddities takes us into the realms of modern symbolism, where a simple piece of currency became a chilling canvas for interpretation and mystery. Now turning to the broader implications of literature and its uncanny ability to mirror life, let us explore the deeper narrative behind these peculiar overlaps. Throughout history, countless works of fiction have seemed to foreshadow real-life events, leaving us to question whether these instances are purely coincidental or hint at something far more profound. Consider Jules Verne's From the Earth to the Moon, published in the 1860s, which outlined a mission to the moon with astonishingly accurate details about spacecraft weight, launch locations, and even the sensation of weightlessness decades before the Apollo missions turned science fiction into reality. Such examples challenge us to ponder whether literature serves as a mere reflection of human imagination or acts as a subtle architect of the future. One potential explanation lies in the idea of collective consciousness, where certain themes, ideas, or innovations seem to emerge simultaneously in different parts of the world, as if humanity is inching toward the same leaps of understanding. Writers, after all, are often attuned to the cultural zeitgeist of their time and may inadvertently tap into these universal currents of thought. Could it be that Poe, Verne, and others unconsciously channeled possibilities that were already germinating in the collective human mind? Or is it that their imaginative stories planted seeds of inspiration for actions yet to unfold, shaping reality in ways they could never have anticipated? Alternatively, skeptics suggest these literary coincidences might simply be the result of probability. In a world filled with countless books, films, and plays, it is statistically likely that some elements will eventually align with real-world events. Yet, this explanation feels insufficient when the parallels are so precise, as with the case of Poe's Richard Parker or Verne's Moon mission. These stories evoke a sense of wonder, prompting us to question if there are unseen threads weaving fiction and reality together in ways we cannot fully comprehend. This phenomenon also raises a fascinating point about the power of storytelling itself. Fiction not only entertains but also shapes our beliefs, aspirations, and even decisions. Could it be that the crew of the Mignonette, consciously or not, remembered Poe's grim narrative, allowing it to influence their desperate actions? Or are these moments of alignment random but charged with meaning because humans naturally seek patterns to make sense of chaos? The answers remain ambiguous, but these literary coincidences remind us of the dynamic interplay between art and life, a dance that seems to blur the lines between the imagined and the real. Moving forward, as we leave behind the imaginative depths of literature's uncanny connections to life, we enter a world where modern symbolism meets unsettling mystery. This time, a simple act of folding a piece of currency reveals a chilling image that continues to intrigue and bewilder even today. With the next phase of the journey in sight, we delve into a modern-day coincidence that has sparked endless fascination and speculation: the curious case of the $20 bill and the tragic events of September 11, 2001. By folding the bill in a specific way, some claim an image emerges that eerily resembles the Twin Towers engulfed in smoke during the attacks. This peculiar discovery has set off a wave of interpretations, with some viewing it as an unsettling premonition hidden in plain sight, while others dismiss it as pure chance amplified by human imagination. The imagery, when revealed, certainly feels striking, prompting questions about how such a specific resemblance could exist. Was this an intentional design, a grim message encoded silently, or is it simply an example of pareidolia, the human tendency to perceive familiar patterns or images, like faces in clouds or objects in abstract forms, even when none were intended? Our brains are wired to connect the dots, to find meaning, and to create narratives, particularly in the wake of trauma or collective grief. This tendency to seek significance may explain why such coincidences often gain traction during times of widespread emotional impact. Yet, the eeriness of this coincidence has fueled countless conspiracy theories, suggesting everything from foreknowledge of the attacks to hidden messages embedded in everyday items by shadowy forces. While these claims lack substantial evidence, they thrive on the raw emotional power of the image and the unshakable feeling that some coincidences go beyond explanation. The allure of such theories often lies in their ability to simplify complex tragedies by framing them within a narrative of intent and purpose, even if that narrative is speculative or flawed at its core. Whether this strange coincidence is an intentional symbol, an accidental alignment, or a psychological projection, its resonance is undeniable. It serves as a profound example of how humans search for order and meaning in the seemingly chaotic events of their world. But as we leave behind this unsettling intersection of modern symbolism and tragedy, our journey continues into a tale where fate intertwines the lives of two men in ways almost too incredible to believe. As the next challenge unfolds, we venture deeper into the human mind to understand why we are so drawn to finding patterns and meaning, especially in times of intense emotional experiences or collective trauma. This inclination is deeply rooted in our psychology. Our brains are hardwired to seek order in the chaos, to connect dots where none may exist, and to impose meaning on randomness. This phenomenon is known as pareidolia, a natural tendency to perceive familiar symbols such as faces or shapes in unrelated objects or patterns. It is the same mechanism that allows us to see shapes in clouds or imagine a face on the moon, and it plays a significant role in how we interpret coincidences. Yet, this behavior becomes even more pronounced in moments of distress or when we face events that defy logical explanation. Traumatic or shocking events like the tragedy of September 11 create a collective need to understand what feels incomprehensible. In these moments, the human brain often turns to symbols as a coping mechanism, creating narratives that provide a sense of structure and purpose in an otherwise chaotic world. The discovery of the Twin Towers' resemblance on the $20 bill is one such example. For some, this pattern offers a kind of symbolic order to the devastation, as though it existed as a hidden thread in the fabric of reality all along. This drive for meaning, however, can sometimes lead us into speculative or even misleading interpretations. When coincidences feel too specific or emotionally striking, we are drawn to believe there must be more to the story, a hidden intention or a deeper truth. This is why symbolic coincidences often flourish within the framework of conspiracy theories. These narratives give people a sense of control in a situation where control feels lost, offering a simplified explanation for events that are often anything but simple. Interestingly, such interpretations are not limited to recent history. Humans have been weaving grand stories from small coincidences for centuries, often seeing them as omens, divine messages, or warnings of what is to come. These perceptions highlight not only our cognitive biases, but also the power of our imagination to shape the way we experience the world around us. Sometimes coincidences are less about reality and more about our emotional need to find patterns that align with our fears, hopes, or beliefs. As we reflect on the role of symbolism and the human psyche in shaping our perception of coincidences, it becomes clear that the stories we create from these patterns often reveal more about ourselves than the events themselves. Our journey now leads us away from abstract patterns and psychological constructs to a remarkable tale of two men whose lives seemed destined to mirror one another in the most profound of ways. Now turning to the extraordinary tale of King Umberto I of Italy, we encounter a coincidence so peculiar that it has puzzled enthusiasts and historians alike questioning the boundaries of fate. The story begins in the late 19th century when King Umberto I, while dining at a small restaurant in Monza, struck up a conversation with the restaurant's owner. To the astonishment of both men, they discovered a series of uncanny similarities between their lives. Not only did they share the same first name, Umberto, but they were also both born on the very same day in the same town. As if that were not remarkable enough, both men had married women with the same name, Margherita. The parallels didn't end there. The restaurant owner opened his business on the exact day that King Umberto was crowned as king. The mounting similarities made their meeting feel as if it were more than a random chance encounter, but the story takes a truly chilling turn the very next day. On July 29, 1900, both King Umberto and the restaurant owner were killed under separate circumstances. The restaurant owner tragically died in an accident while King Umberto was assassinated by an anarchist. Two lives eerily intertwined reached their end on the same fateful day. This coincidence has led many to wonder, was it a statistical anomaly or evidence of some deeper, unexplainable connection between their destinies? Such stories make us reflect on the nature of fate itself, challenging the belief that our lives unfold purely as a series of random events. Are these moments of symmetry a mere coincidence, or could they hint at a hidden order in the universe, one that eludes our understanding? As we ponder these questions, it's worth noting that peculiar occurrences like this are not as rare in history as one might think. Moving forward, we dive into another incredible story, this time involving one of America's most celebrated authors and a celestial phenomenon that seemed to define the bookends of his extraordinary life. Moving forward, let's delve into the fascinating world of statistical probabilities and how they might help us unravel peculiar cases like that of King Umberto I and the restaurant owner. At first glance, the similarities between these two men seem almost impossibly uncanny. leaving many to question whether there might be a hidden design behind their parallel lives. However, statisticians argue that even the most improbable events can and do occur when viewed within the vast framework of possibilities. Consider how many billions of people have lived throughout history. With such an immense sample size, the likelihood of two individuals sharing an extraordinary number of similarities increases, even if it feels implausible on a personal level. This is a concept known as the law of truly large numbers, which suggests that given enough opportunities, even the rarest events become inevitable. Yet there's something about these coincidences that continues to captivate us. It's not just the shared names, birthdays, and life events that make this story feel extraordinary. It's the way these details seem to align so perfectly, as though orchestrated by some unseen force. Psychologists have studied why humans are so drawn to coincidences, and the answer may lie in our innate tendency to seek patterns and meaning in the world around us. When we encounter stories like this, they resonate deeply because they challenge our understanding of randomness, making us wonder if certain events are truly accidental or if they are part of a larger, ungraspable structure. Even with statistical explanations, it's important to note that the emotional impact of these stories can't be diminished. They make history feel alive, as if fate itself played a hand in shaping the lives of those involved. And while science may categorize these occurrences as anomalies, they remain a potent reminder of the mysteries we have yet to solve about chance, coincidence, and connection. As we continue exploring, these stories often bridge the gap between logic and wonder, inviting us to question what we know about the rules that govern our lives. With this in mind, let's now turn to yet another astonishing story, one that takes us from earthly probabilities to the vast expanse of the cosmos, as we unravel the curious link between a celebrated literary figure and a celestial marvel. Now turning to the extraordinary connection between one of America's most famous literary figures, Mark Twain, and the celestial phenomenon known as Halley's Comet, we enter a realm where history and the cosmos seem to intersect in a puzzling dance. Mark Twain, born Samuel Langhorne Clemens, came into the world on November 30th in 1835, just 2 weeks after Halley's Comet made its dazzling pass near Earth. This celestial event, which occurs roughly every 76 years, had long captivated humanity with its brilliance, but little did anyone suspect that it would mark both the beginning and end of Twain's life in such a striking way. Twain himself, with his wit and penchant for dramatic declarations, once predicted this cosmic coincidence. In 1909, near the end of his life, he reportedly said, "I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. It is coming again next year, and I expect to go out with it." True to his word, Twain passed away on April 21, 1910, just 1 day after the comet's perihelion, or closest approach to the Sun. This uncanny alignment has left many wondering whether it was purely a coincidence or if there was something more profound at play. Was Twain's prediction merely a reflection of his flair for the theatrical, or did he sense some inexplicable connection to this celestial wanderer? From a historical perspective, it's tempting to view this as one of the great oddities of fate, a moment where the vast expanse of the universe curiously aligned with the life of a single, remarkable individual. Scientifically, of course, there's no evidence to suggest that Twain's life was in any way influenced by the comet's trajectory. However, the synchronicity of events continues to fuel speculation and fascination, serving as a reminder of how deeply intertwined human stories and cosmic phenomena can feel. Psychologists might argue that our tendency to find meaning in such events stems from our natural desire to create narratives and assign significance to the seemingly random. Yet, even knowing this, the story of Twain and Halley's Comet holds an undeniable allure. It speaks to a larger human yearning to believe that the universe is not entirely random, that perhaps in some rare moments the cosmos conspires to create something extraordinary. And whether you view this tale as an improbable alignment or a poetic gesture from the stars, it undeniably deepens the mystique surrounding Twain's life and legacy. With this celestial marvel fresh in our minds, let us now shift our gaze to an equally captivating, yet profoundly human story, one that brings the legacy of World War I into focus in a way that might surprise you. As the next phase of the journey unfolds, let's delve deeper into the realm of cosmic coincidences and how the vast, unyielding sky has intertwined itself with human history. Across cultures and centuries, celestial phenomena have often been linked to pivotal historical events, leaving people to wonder whether the heavens merely serve as a backdrop or as an active participant in the unfolding of human destiny. Take, for instance, the famed Battle of Hastings in 1066. It was preceded by the appearance of Halley's Comet earlier that year, an event that many at the time interpreted as an omen. According to historical records, its bright streak across the sky was seen by some as a sign of victory for William the Conqueror, while others viewed it as a harbinger of doom for the Anglo-Saxon King Harold. Whether the comet truly influenced morale or decisions during that time is speculative, yet its presence undoubtedly added a layer of mystique to an already monumental event. Another striking example can be found in the fall of the Aztec Empire in the early 16th century. Just before the arrival of Spanish conquistadors led by Hernán Cortés, the skies over Mexico were said to glow with strange lights, and a comet was reportedly visible for weeks. The Aztecs, who placed great spiritual significance on celestial occurrences, interpreted these events as warnings of impending upheaval. While modern science attributes such phenomena to natural astronomical events, their perceived meanings at the time played a critical role in shaping the psychological landscape of those who witnessed them. Then there's the storied relationship between solar eclipses and historical turning points. In 585 BC, the famed Battle of Holys between the Medes and the Lydians came to an abrupt halt due to a total eclipse of the sun. Ancient historians recount that both armies, terrified by the sudden darkness, took the event as a divine sign to cease fighting and negotiated peace instead. This remains one of the earliest recorded instances of celestial phenomena directly influencing human behavior on such a grand scale. These events underscore a timeless truth. As rational as humanity strives to be, the sheer grandeur of the cosmos has always evoked a sense of wonder, fear, and curiosity. Ancient cultures went to great lengths to interpret the stars, often weaving them into narratives that reflected their hopes, fears, and beliefs. Even today, stories like that of Mark Twain and Halley's Comet fascinate us not merely because of their improbability, but because they resonate with a deeper, almost primal part of the human experience, a yearning to find patterns and meaning in an otherwise unpredictable universe. Science tells us that these celestial phenomena are governed by predictable laws of nature, yet the human tendency to imbue them with symbolic weight remains as strong as ever. Perhaps this speaks to our deep-seated desire to feel connected to something larger than ourselves, to believe that the same cosmos that gave birth to stars and planets might also subtly influence the course of our lives. Whether these moments are genuine intersections of fate and the cosmos or simply instances of humans finding stories in the stars, they remind us of the profound interplay between our grounded existence and the infinite universe above. With these cosmic tales illuminating both history and human nature, let us shift our focus from the heavens to an earthly coincidence that emerged from the trenches of World War I, a story that proves sometimes the most striking alignments happen right here on the ground. Now turning to a poignant tale from the battlefields of World War I, we find one of the most striking coincidences in the history of warfare. Imagine the sprawling expanse of the Western Front, a place marked by countless stories of sacrifice and sorrow. Amidst the chaos and devastation of a war that claimed millions of lives, an extraordinary alignment occurred that defies explanation. The first British soldier to die in the conflict was Private John Parr, whose life was tragically cut short on August 21, 1914. Nearly 4 years later, on November 11, 1918, as the war drew to its close, the last British soldier to lose his life was Private George Ellison, who fell mere minutes before the armistice took effect. What makes this even more remarkable is that their graves, amidst the thousands scattered across the resting grounds of St. Symphorien Military Cemetery in Belgium, now lie just a few feet apart. This placement was not the result of deliberate planning. It was a coincidence born from the chaos of war. Yet, their proximity feels laden with symbolic weight, as if history itself sought to bring its first and final chapters together. The story of these two soldiers serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of war, bookending the immense tragedy with an intimate and almost poetic connection. This juxtaposition invites reflection on the randomness of life and death, even amidst the regimented brutality of war. How is it that these two individuals, unknown to each other and separated by years of conflict, now rest side by side? For some, this eerie alignment feels like a powerful metaphor, underscoring the shared humanity of those who fought and perished, regardless of where or when their journey began or ended. For others, it is simply an uncanny twist of fate, a poignant coincidence that only deepens the emotional resonance of World War I legacy. As we ponder this strange and moving alignment, we are reminded once again of how history often stitches together seemingly unrelated threads to create moments that stir our collective consciousness. With this in mind, let us now take a step further into another extraordinary tale, where the threads of coincidence weave through the monumental efforts of human engineering and an enduring symbol of progress. As the sun rises on the next chapter, we delve into the role of memory in shaping how we perceive and perhaps even magnify historical coincidences. Across cultures and generations, societies have displayed a remarkable tendency to attach profound meaning to events that appear coincidental, as if searching for a deeper narrative hidden within the chaos of history. This process is not merely about recording facts, but about crafting stories that resonate with human emotions, values, and shared experiences. The case of the first and last British soldiers of World War I resting side by side is a poignant example. The placement of their graves might be accidental, but the way it has been memorialized elevates this coincidence from a simple oddity to a symbol of the war's human toll. It becomes a story not just about two men, but about the immense collective sacrifice of millions. Why do we, as humans, feel compelled to find meaning in such coincidences? Psychological studies suggest that we are naturally wired to seek patterns, even in random events. Our brains derive comfort from imposing order on chaos, creating connections that help us process vast and often painful historical narratives. These connections provide a sense of closure, a way to turn tragic events into lessons or stories that carry emotional weight. In this sense, the proximity of the graves of John Parr and George Ellison does not merely reflect chance. It has evolved into a powerful metaphor for closure and continuity, resonating deeply within the collective memory of those who study or commemorate World War I. Furthermore, historical coincidences like this one often gain significance because they help us remember. Monuments, cemeteries, and memorials do not simply mark places or events, they serve as anchors for collective reflection. The fact that Parr and Ellison rest only feet apart has been retold in countless articles, books, and documentaries, embedding it into the fabric of how we remember the war. These stories gain traction not because they change the facts of history, but because they add a layer of humanity, an element of the extraordinary within the ordinary. Through memory, these coincidences are transformed from fleeting occurrences into enduring symbols. This tendency to amplify coincidences through memory plays a larger role in how we process history as a whole. The human inclination to find meaning transforms these moments into touchstones, reminders of our shared fragility, resilience, and interconnectedness. Whether by chance or by design, such events are preserved within the stories we tell, shaping how we understand the past and our place within it. With this perspective in mind, let us now step into another fascinating coincidence, one that emerges from the immense scope of human ambition and ingenuity, where even the most rigorous planning couldn't escape the touch of the unpredictable. As the next phase of the journey comes into focus, we arrive at the towering marvel of modern engineering, the Hoover Dam. This monumental structure, a testament to human ambition and perseverance, carries not just stories of innovation, but also a curious coincidence etched into its history. The construction of the dam, which spanned over 5 relentless years in the early part of the 20th century, was fraught with challenges, immense risks, and sacrifices. Among these, the very first worker to lose his life during its building was a man named G. Tierney. Strangely, as if bound by an inexplicable thread of fate, the final recorded death associated with the dam's construction was none other than Patrick Tierney, G. Tierney's son. Such a connection is profoundly striking. To lose not one but 2 members of the same family to the same project is a reminder of the human cost often intertwined with grand achievements. Those who hear this tale cannot help but wonder, was this an extraordinary twist of fate, an eerie coincidence, or perhaps a grim inevitability given the perilous nature of the work? It prompts us to reflect on how stories like these become an enduring part of a historical narrative, not simply because of the shared surname, but because of the emotional weight it carries. The tale of the Tierneys transforms this engineering triumph into a human story, a reminder of the sacrifices made to realize such colossal feats. Some might argue that such an event is purely coincidental, a matter of statistical randomness. After all, thousands of workers toiled on this massive project under challenging and often hazardous conditions. Yet, the fact that this familial link exists feels almost poetic, as though something larger than chance is at play. Whether interpreted through the lens of fate or probability, it serves as a powerful reminder of the interconnectedness of human stories within the framework of history. This coincidence, like many others, draws us in because it juxtaposes the immense scale of the Hoover Dam with the intimate and deeply personal story of a family. It shifts our focus from viewing the dam as merely an engineering wonder to also recognizing it as a repository of human experience, a place where triumph and tragedy are inextricably linked. While the Tierney family story is but one thread in this enormous tapestry, it ensures that the Hoover Dam is remembered not just for its concrete and steel, but for the lives that shaped it and were shaped by it. With this poignant tale fresh in our minds, let us now move toward yet another astonishing coincidence, one that blends the realms of pop culture and uncanny foresight, leaving us questioning whether the line between fiction and reality is as clear-cut as we might believe. As the next challenge unfolds, we delve deeper into the peculiar phenomena surrounding large-scale engineering projects and the uncanny coincidences they sometimes reveal. When we examine monumental undertakings like the Hoover Dam, the sheer magnitude of these projects begins to paint a clearer picture of why such coincidences might emerge. These vast constructions often span years, involve thousands of individuals, and operate in environments riddled with uncertainty and danger. With so many variables at play, the probability of unusual patterns or connections appearing naturally increases. Yet, when these coincidences arise, they feel anything but random. They capture our imagination, echoing the mysteries that seem to exist at the intersection of human effort and the unpredictable forces of the world. Consider the human inclination to find meaning in patterns, especially when confronted with stories like that of the Tierney family. It is not difficult to see why an event so charged with emotional resonance might be perceived as more than a statistical anomaly. Engineering projects, by their very nature, often symbolize humanity's struggle against the elements, and in this struggle, stories of triumph and sacrifice add layers of narrative weight. When coincidences emerge amidst such endeavors, they seem to amplify the human connection to these grand achievements, making them feel less like cold, impersonal feats of science and more like living monuments to shared experience. Furthermore, some might argue that the visibility of large-scale projects plays a significant role in making these coincidences more noticeable. The scale of public attention surrounding structures like the Hoover Dam ensures that even the smallest of details, like the familial link between two tragic losses, are preserved and magnified within our collective consciousness. These coincidences might occur on a smaller scale in other situations, but it is the prominence and enduring legacy of such projects that elevate these events from mere happenstance to enduring legend. On the other hand, the history of engineering is also rife with superstitions, suggesting that human beings are naturally inclined to imbue these coincidences with deeper significance. From the ancient builders of pyramids who believed in divine blessings to modern architects adhering to rituals for good fortune, the blend of rationality and superstition often accompanies engineering milestones. Perhaps it is this duality between precise calculations and the unknowable that makes stories like the Tierney's so compelling. We are reminded that no matter how advanced our methods become, we remain deeply connected to the mysteries of chance and the enduring power of storytelling. As we ponder this rich tapestry of engineering and human experience, we are left with a profound question. Do these coincidences emerge because of the sheer scale and visibility of such projects, or do they hint at something greater, something that transcends the calculations and measurements that define these feats of construction? It is a question that invites us to look not just at the structures themselves, but at the stories they carry, the lives they touch, and the legacy they leave behind. With this in mind, let us shift our focus to a new realm of coincidences, one where the world of popular culture seemingly collides with reality in ways that defy explanation. Now turning to one of pop culture's most fascinating phenomena, we explore the uncanny ability of The Simpsons to seemingly predict real-world events. This long-running animated series, known for its sharp satire and humorous take on society, has left many viewers doing a double take over the years as fictional moments from the show have come eerily close to actual events. Perhaps one of the most popular examples is the invention of smartwatches. In an episode aired in the early 90s, a character is seen using a wristwatch to communicate, something that was purely a work of fiction at the time. Fast forward to the modern era, and smartwatches have become an integral part of everyday life, but it does not stop there. Another infamous example is the show's apparent prediction of Donald Trump's presidency. In an episode from the year 2000, the writers imagined a dystopian future where Trump had become President of the United States, a plotline that played out in real life 16 years later. While it could be argued that Trump's status as a cultural figure made this scenario somewhat plausible, the level of detail in the episode, including a scene of him descending a golden escalator, has fueled endless speculation. Then there are more corporate coincidences, such as the Disney-Fox merger. In one episode from nearly 2 decades ago, the show displayed an image of the iconic 20th Century Fox logo with a sign beneath reading, "A division of Walt Disney Co." At the time, this was an amusing jab at media consolidation, but in 2019, the Walt Disney Company officially acquired 21st Century Fox, leaving fans of the show stunned by the apparent foresight. These examples and many others have propelled The Simpsons into a curious spotlight where fans and skeptics alike question whether these moments are simply the result of a long-running series exploring a wide range of topics or if there is something more mysterious at play. With hundreds of episodes to its name, the sheer volume of content does increase the likelihood of overlapping with real-world events. However, it is the specificity of these occurrences that continues to intrigue viewers. Are these predictions just an example of life imitating art, or does the show possess an almost prophetic quality that defies explanation? Perhaps the answer lies not in the show itself, but in our own tendencies to connect the dots and find patterns in the chaos around us. With this remarkable ability to blur the lines between fiction and reality, The Simpsons has firmly secured its place not just in pop culture, but also in the realm of historical coincidences that leave us scratching our heads. As we delve deeper into the phenomenon of The Simpsons and its uncanny knack for aligning with real-world events, it is important to recognize the unique nature of long-running series and their relationship to cultural trends. With over 30 years of storytelling and countless episodes covering an immense range of topics, The Simpsons naturally casts a wide net, touching on ideas, inventions, and scenarios that at the time may have seemed far-fetched. However, the passage of time often brings these scenarios closer to reality, creating the illusion of prediction. For instance, advancements in technology and shifts in societal norms mean that ideas once purely fictional may eventually find their way into our daily lives. This expansive coverage increases the likelihood that some storylines will inevitably coincide with real-world developments, simply due to probability. At the same time, the show's creators are known for their sharp observation of cultural and political undercurrents. Satire by nature reflects the world in which it is created, often exaggerating emerging trends or exploring hypothetical outcomes based on present realities. In this sense, many so-called predictions may stem from the show's ability to pinpoint and amplify subtle clues already present in society. For example, the parody of Donald Trump as president in the year 2000 could be viewed not as a prediction but as a satire of his public persona and influence at the time. Similarly, the depiction of the Disney-Fox merger could be chalked up to a keen awareness of media industry trends rather than a prophetic vision of corporate buyouts. This brings us to an intriguing question. Is there something deeper at play, or are these coincidences merely the result of statistical likelihood and creative foresight? Part of the human experience is our tendency to seek patterns and meaning in the world around us. When we notice connections, even tenuous ones, our brains are wired to link them together into a coherent narrative. This psychological habit, known as pattern recognition, might be why moments from The Simpsons feel so strangely prophetic. The specificity of some of these overlaps makes them stand out, prompting us to ignore the countless other storylines from the show that have never come to pass. Ultimately, while the idea of The Simpsons as a prophetic series is undeniably fascinating, it may say more about us than the show itself. Perhaps these so-called predictions are less about the animation studio's ability to foresee the future and more about our own desire to find order in the unpredictability of life. Still, the show's remarkable ability to spark these discussions ensures its legacy as one of the most intriguing cultural phenomena of our time. Moving forward, we step away from the fictional world of animation and into the sobering yet mysterious real-life circumstances surrounding the graves of two soldiers whose story continues to puzzle historians. As we reach the conclusion of our journey through these 10 astonishing historical coincidences, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the line between chance and destiny can sometimes feel impossibly thin. From eerie predictions in literature and media to uncanny parallels in the lives of world leaders, these stories challenge our understanding of randomness and fuel our fascination with the unknown. They remind us that history is not just a timeline of events but a tapestry woven with moments that defy simple explanation. Whether it's the mysterious alignment of dates, seemingly prophetic works of fiction, or the strange interplay of fate and probability, these coincidences leave us questioning the true nature of reality itself. So, which of these incredible stories did you find the most mind-blowing? Do you have your own tale of astonishing coincidences to share? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're here, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into history's greatest mysteries. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.